What's up, Internet? This is Rambling Josh, and you're watching another episode of Let's Play Brian's Journey. Now, if the last episode was any indication, then you've probably realized by now that the journey to our destination here is not going to be a pleasant one. The enemies in this area are actually extremely difficult. And there's a good reason for that, but well, I don't know, maybe it's not a good reason. It makes sense why it is that way, but it's perhaps not the best game design ever. We're going to be returning to this area a lot over the course of the game. Maybe not a lot, but at least once. And I just want to run away after that. I don't want to risk getting beaten up, because she lowered my defense. And I don't know how much damage I'm going to take with a lowered defense. I don't think those things tend to be super threatening, but I don't want to take that risk. So yeah, long story short, what I'm trying to say here is the enemies in this area are very, very tricky, and eventually we're going to be able to take them out like nothing, but that's not going to be right now. Right now it's a real struggle to take them down. Luckily these Orc Juniors are not hard. They use rock and their physical attack is not particularly threatening. So these are good enemies to kind of rejuvenate against, I guess. That's just the way that I tend to segregate enemies in my mind. Is certain enemies you want to take out as quickly as possible, and certain enemies you want to kind of take a long time killing them, I guess, because you want to focus on regenerating your HP and MP, probably more your MP than anything, while you're fighting them. And Orc Juniors definitely fall into the second category. Let's try Homing Arrow, actually. Pretty good. Truth be told, I don't think I've ever actually tried using Homing Arrow at this point in the game. I'm kind of surprised at how effective it is. But it doesn't stop the enemies from doing, like, I guess it's not even super massive damage, it's more a matter of it's more damage than I am able to be MP positive against. If you don't recall what that phrase means, because I kind of defined it, I guess you could say, last episode, it's basically when you're able to come out of a fight with more HP and or MP than you started it with. So basically, if the damage you're taking is more than half of what you are able to heal with a level 1 healing spell. So in this case, it's usually around 20 at this point. So anything more than about 8 or 10 damage is going to put me in the MP negative category. And that's what enemies are doing at this point. And that's kind of, to me, that's kind of where the tipping point in between the easy and the hard enemies are. These guys are doing slightly more, like just enough damage to put me in that negative category, and so it means that I'm slowly losing MP every fight, basically. And that's all the difference. Just a couple points of damage, and you can go from losing MP to at least breaking even. The difference, of course, is that if you're breaking even, then you're surviving. Whereas if you are even slightly in the negative, then you're slowly dying. So anyways, we've managed to make it here to Lair Pool. That wasn't as hard as it could have been, but I am pretty low on MP at this point. If you do get really low on MP, usually the best strategy is, needless to say, you just run away from the fights where against the strong enemies, the ones that you are going to be wanting to go all out against, you just run away from them. And basically just run away from all the fights that aren't the quote-unquote regeneration fights, as I described them. So for instance, in this area, or, well, not inside Lair Pool, but the area outside, I would want to basically run away from everything that wasn't like Orc Juniors. Because I can take on Orc Juniors with no MP, as long as I've got a little bit of HP. And I'll be fine. So I'm just kind of checking the area here for treasure. I believe all that's left is this area up here. Sure. Item full. Oh, I've got a lot of fresh bread. Can I, like, not even drop this stuff? Well, let's use the fresh bread. Because I'd rather have mint leaves. There we go. Mint leaves heal 20 MP, so that's pretty good. Why, thank you, Shannon. Yes, I will be staying, Alexander. Why is it IR? Is that even a thing? Does anyone in existence spell their name that way? I mean, I don't, like, mean to insult you if you happen to be Alexander, but I've never met someone named the Day of Grief. Alright then. I've never met someone whose name is spelled Alexander. So, got a spirit here, just powering up fire spirits. And by now you should hopefully understand why. Obviously, this is the City of Water, so we're going to have water things to solve, and while it might be a little counterintuitive, I want that silver amulet. Can I not just drop stuff? I guess I'll have to come back for it later. And this is where the inventory gets somewhat problematic. I don't need most of this stuff, if any. I want that silver amulet. It's actually pretty useful. But I can't have it. So yeah, anyways, as I was saying, obviously, we're going to be encountering water problems, and while it's a little counterintuitive, fire is the opposite element to water, and so fire is usually effective against them. I don't know. Yes, I am a spirit tamer. Sure, okay. Why not? Alright then. I'm pretty sure it's actually not for a short while. Well, I think if you leave Lairpool and then come back, it will recede. Or, not recede, but unrecede? Or something? Yeah, whatever. Anyways, this is the Blue Cave, or the Water Cave, or whatever you want to call it. And if you recall, this is actually one of my most dreaded dungeons in Quest 64. I hated this place with a passion. In this game, it's not so bad. Not at all, in fact. But I want to take a quick break before I actually go through the dungeon, because it's still pretty big and kind of hard, and it is still a dungeon. So I'm going to do that and be right back. Okay, so I've returned from my little interlude, and now it's time to get things started. And what a start it is. So, the first thing I actually want to do, I actually want to get rid of some of these useless items. Specifically, I don't have any real use for replicas. Those let you escape from battle, but escaping from battle is not a hard thing to do anyways, so they're not really all that useful. There are situations, oh god, mimics, where replicas can come in handy, but they're pretty far and few between. Or few and far between, I guess. In truth, I'm not actually... I think mimics just have a lot of health, is what their thing is. But anyways, you may have noticed that a lot of the enemies in this game, not this game, but this cave, their thing, so to speak, is they don't really use normal attacks. They just kind of hit everything. Let's see if I can... Let's go with Homing Arrow for now. That does a lot of damage, so that's good anyways. I mean, that is, after all, why I leveled up my fire spirit so much. So, part of the reason why this cave is so hard is it kind of undermines everything that all the strategies that you've used up till this point. Because positioning doesn't really count for much when the enemies just hit everything. Okay, Skelebats are a good kind of regeneration enemy, so... Actually, how much... I wish I knew how much MP max I had right now. Because obviously I would prefer to heal out of battle rather than in battle. But there's no point hitting the enemy with your staff if you're not going to actually get any MP out of it because you're already at your max. So obviously, I think my max right now is 32, I want to say. 34, in fact. I don't know if that's just recently, like, gone up to that point or what. So, in this dungeon, I'm basically right now just beelining the treasure chests. Oh, that's why mimics are so annoying, because they can mute you. So I do actually happen to have a map for this dungeon. In fact, I have maps for most of the dungeons, unlike the world map, so that's fortunate. Because the areas in this game can be very windy. I wonder... I can kill these off with melee, so I think that's going to be my plan for these guys, is hit them with a homing arrow level 2, and then melee to finish them off. Their ice wall thing does just small enough damage for me to be able to heal up after the fight and remain roughly even in terms of MP. Although you want to be careful with the scorpions because not too many things for carry. What's in the spirit gemstones? I can get that. So I'm gonna get in a fight and use up, I guess, a fresh bread. Or maybe I'll just use that to heal up afterwards. So you want to try and be careful to not stand in front of these scorpions because they know walking water, which actually, well, I don't know for a fact, but I'm assuming they see that it right there. I'm assuming walking water would actually do quite a bit of damage. If I had to guess, I would say probably around 22 to 25 damage. That's mostly just a guess, like I said, but... So, use a fresh bread. And grab this healing potion. Okay. So, moving on... Trying to recall what this centipede thing does. Well, dies. That's one thing that it does. Oh, I'm in front of him. Okay, well. Thankfully, the AI in this game isn't especially good. They don't really seem to have any rhyme or reason to which attack they actually choose to use a lot of the time. And they're certainly not very good at positioning themselves at all. So that's something that you can kind of play to your advantage. So I want to head back up. I'm just going to run from these mimics. They do a little bit more damage than the scorpions. And, yeah. Just keep on heading up this way, because we got... multi-optics. I don't think these guys are especially dangerous. Obviously, the healing isn't going to be doing any damage to me, but... They're going to start attacking me eventually, I'm sure. Yeah, that's nothing. I can easily just staff these guys to death. Regenerate a little bit of MP. So it's good that enemies like this exist in this cave, because it'd be a lot harder if they didn't. Right. Hitting stuff. In the middle of this battle, I just got to thinking, I don't know if I have any, like... if I've been learning any new spells or anything. The problem with that is because I've been putting everything into fire, you don't really learn any new spells that way. You typically learn new spells by diversifying what spirits you're getting. Because obviously, like, I mean, I guess it probably unlocks stuff like Soul Search and Restriction and Rolling Rock by getting stuff in fire, but because my other elements are so much lower, I don't really get anything new out of the deal. Which is really an interesting property of how this game works, because it means that I'm basically focusing on powering up the raw power of one subset of spells, while purposefully neglecting the power of... or, not power, but, rather, I'm purposefully neglecting the diversity that I could get from spreading out my spirit selection a little bit more. And you know what? I'm okay with that. Just trying to get my bearings here. I may have actually taken not the best route through this dungeon, because I have to come back down here again, and then I'm going to have to almost immediately go back the way I came afterwards. Too many items to carry. I guess I'll continue to trade fresh bread for better healing items. Works for me. And down there. Grab the spirit. I think I'm actually going to stop powering up my fire spirits at this point. That number has actually gone up incredibly quickly. I'm pretty sure at the beginning of the last episode I had like 4 in fire. So that's actually really ridiculous. And obviously it only goes up to 50, and I don't need it to be at 50 for what I'm going to be doing. And the thing to keep in mind is that the farther you get into the game, the harder it is to earn spirits. It's not significantly harder, but it is harder. So before I go whole hog with fire, like, if I don't need more than I have, then I might as well start powering up the spirits that I'm going to need after that. So, specifically, I'm going to want Earth Spirits. And if I'm going to need some Earth Spirits, then... Oh wait, where am I? Then I might as well start getting them now, because it's not going to do me any good to be in a situation where I need Earth Spirits, and I've got 50 Fire, but only like 10 Earth. So, yeah. Anyways, we're pretty much at the end of the dungeon here. This seems about as good a place as any to leave it here for today on Let's Play Brian's Journey. Catch you later!